We've all been there. Starts with something small. A new pair of sneakers. A new smartphone. Or maybe just a high-end lamp for your desk. At first, it feels like a victory. You feel better, sharper, more successful. But then, something strange happens. You look around your room, and suddenly, everything else looks wrong. Your old desk looks scratched. Your chair looks cheap. Your headphones don't match the vibe of your new setup. So, you buy the desk, then the chair, then the headphones. Before you realize it, you've spent $2,000 trying to complement a $200 purchase. Welcome to the Diderot Effect. This is the invisible psychological spiral that keeps the middle class broke, and it's a trap specifically designed by the world's biggest brands. To understand why this happens, we have to travel back to 18th century France. Denis Diderot was one of the most brilliant philosophers of the Enlightenment. He was co-founder of the Encyclopedia. He was a genius, but he was also poor. He lived most of his life in a modest home, surrounded by old, mismatched furniture that he loved. Then, everything changed. In 1765, the Empress of Russia, Catherine the Great, heard about Diderot's financial struggles and bought his library for a massive sum of money. Suddenly, Diderot was wealthy. And to celebrate, he bought himself a gift, a magnificent scarlet silk robe. It was the most beautiful thing he had ever owned. But here is where the tragedy begins. Diderot sat in his study, wearing his luxurious robe, and he looked at his old wooden table. It looked pathetic next to the silk. So, he replaced it with a costly marble table. Then, he looked at his wall hangings. They looked dusty and faded. He replaced them with expensive tapestries from Morocco. One by one, he replaced his chair, his clock, his bookshelf. He wrote a famous essay titled "Regrets on Parting with My Old Dressing Gown." In it, he said, "I was absolute master of my old robe. I have become the slave of the new one." He had fallen into a spiral of consumption that he couldn't control. Why does our brain do this to us? Science calls it consumptive seamlessness. Our brains are wired for patterns and harmony. When we introduce a high-status item into a low-status environment, it creates something called cognitive dissonance. It feels physically uncomfortable to have a diamond ring next to a plastic watch. Your brain desperately wants to resolve that tension. And the easiest way to do it? Buy more high-status things. This is exactly how modern marketing works. Think about Apple. They don't just want you to buy an iPhone. They want you to buy the ecosystem. Each purchase isn't an isolated event. It's a bridge to the next one. The same happens with IKEA. You don't just want the table anymore. You want the harmony of the room. So, how do you break the cycle? The first step is awareness. Next time you buy something new, wait. Just wait. Second, try the one in, one out rule. If you buy a new item, you must donate or sell an old one. This prevents the accumulation that leads to the spiral. Real wealth isn't about having a life where everything matches. Stop trying to match your robe. Start mastering your life.